was just trying to be a good mom. Packing his lunch, folding his clothes, showing up at every school meeting, even when I was exhausted. But that afternoon, something changed. We were walking home from school, and I reached out to hold his hand, like I always did. He pulled away, quickly, almost like he was ashamed. I laughed it off, tried to make a joke. But he looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Mom, can you not walk next to me? The other kids laugh at you." I froze. I didn't know what to say. Because what do you say when the one person you do anything for says they're ashamed of you? I didn't cry. Not at first. I just nodded, said, "Okay," and walked a few steps behind him, pretending I was busy on my phone. But inside, it felt like something had cracked wide open. When we got home, he ran to his room like nothing happened. And I went straight to the bathroom. I closed the door, sat on the floor, and let the silence swallow me. I looked at my reflection. Not just in the mirror, but in my memory. All the times I had avoided photos. All the moments I said, "I'm fine," when I wasn't. All the excuses I made to not show up in my own life. And I thought, maybe he was right. Maybe I had become someone even I was embarrassed of. That thought hit harder than anything he could have said. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing his voice in my head, over and over again. "Can you not walk next to me?" It wasn't just what he said. It was what it meant. That I had disappeared so much into motherhood, that even my own son couldn't see me anymore. All he saw was my weight, my tiredness, my shame. And maybe that's all I saw too. I had spent years giving everything to everyone else. Every meal cooked, every homework helped, every smile faked. But somewhere along the way, I stopped giving anything to myself. I didn't recognize the woman in the mirror anymore, not because of the body, but because of the emptiness in her eyes. And that's when I realized, it wasn't just my son who felt ashamed. I was ashamed of me too. And that had to change. The next morning, I woke up before the alarm. Not because I was rested, I wasn't. But because something in me refused to stay lying down. I sat on the edge of the bed, looked at my reflection in the closet mirror, and whispered, "Enough." Not loud, not brave, but enough to break the silence. I didn't have a plan. No diet chart. No workout routine. Just a feeling that if I didn't move now, I might never move again. So I put on my old sneakers, tied my hair back, and went outside. I walked. No music. No stopwatch. No goal. Just me and my breath. The wind was cold. My body felt heavy, but with every step, I felt a bit less numb. A bit more alive. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't moving to punish myself. I was moving to remember that I still could. I kept walking. Every morning, rain or shine. Even when I didn't want to. Even when the world still felt heavy on my shoulders. At first, it was just 10 minutes. Then 15. Some days, I walked with tears in my eyes. Other days, I walked with fire in my chest. I started drinking more water, saying no to what drained me, sleeping a bit better. I wasn't counting calories or tracking progress. I was just showing up for me. People didn't notice at first. And honestly, that was fine. Because this time, I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it so that one day, if my son ever looked at me again with shame in his eyes, I could look back with strength in mine. I didn't want to be a perfect mom. I wanted to be a present woman. One who didn't hide behind guilt or exhaustion. And little by little, I was becoming her. One afternoon, as I was folding laundry, my son walked into the room, looked at me for a moment, and said, "Mom, you look different." I froze. Not because I thought he meant my body, but because there was something in his voice. Not embarrassment, not distance, just curiosity, and maybe even a hint of admiration. I didn't ask what he meant. I just smiled and said, "Thanks, baby." Because I knew. It wasn't about losing weight. It wasn't about clothes or makeup. It was about the way I started carrying myself. How I looked him in the eyes again. How I spoke without apologizing for existing. How I took up space in my own life without shame. I was becoming visible again. To him. To myself. And that felt better than any compliment I could have asked for. Months passed. I still had days where I felt tired. Where old thoughts tried to creep back in. But they didn't win anymore. Because now, when I look in the mirror, I don't just see a mother. I see a woman who refused to disappear. A woman who took pain and turned it into power. I didn't follow a trend. I didn't starve myself or obsess over numbers. I just started with one walk, one choice, one breath. Along the way, I found a routine that helped me feel more energized, more balanced. A simple supplement that supported my hormones and helped me sleep better. It wasn't a miracle, but it was a push when I needed it most. And that's the truth. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy. You just need to stop waiting for permission and start showing up for yourself. One step, one change, one act of self-respect at a time. Because sometimes, the first person you need to prove wrong is the one in the mirror.